Part 18. I Can Break the Dimensional Wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 171. Inside the Kyogoku room, Fallen Princess looked in the mirror and looked at her glamorous self in the mirror. She couldn't help touching her cheek, as if she was intoxicated by her beauty. The only female ghost in Shangxian, beautiful and powerful. Luo Ji is indeed a beauty. She has been in Warren for hundreds of years. Of course, in order not to reveal her identity, she would change places every once in a while. However, no matter where she goes, she can become the most popular Warren in the local area. Warren is the most beautiful woman in Huaja, which is enough to prove her beauty. If Li Xiaohuaqi's appearance and temperament are gentle and generous, then Fernji's temperament is glamorous and seductive. She seemed to be a woman in the dark with a dangerous aura. Looking at the beauty in the mirror, Fernji spoke in a charming voice, "I've stayed here for a long time, and I've eaten a lot of people, so some keen people probably noticed something abnormal." Having said that, Gigi touched her bewitching red lips, as if recalling some taste. "I don't know if the news has reached the ghost killing team. According to the time, it should be almost the same. I guess they will send someone over to investigate. Come on, come a little more. I don't know what level will come, will there be a pillar? I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, no matter who it is, I will eat it in the end." Fernji turned her head and glanced at the moon outside the window. Today's moon is extraordinarily round. The other side. Under Xiaoruo's suggestion, Butterfly sat down and ate the food, and it seemed that she was really not very angry. Afterwards, Xiaoruo asked the people outside the door to bring up some delicious dishes, which were not available in the ghost-killing squad on weekdays. At least Xiaoruo felt that they were better than those made by Aoi Kanzaki. Seeing that the expression on Butterfly Ren's face improved, Xiaoruo breathed a sigh of relief. Misunderstanding resolved. Butterfly couldn't bear to drink, so Xiaoruo was drinking. Xiaoruo's alcohol capacity is very good. To him, drinking these wines in Huaja is almost the same as not drinking. And I don't know when Xiaoruo suddenly fell in love with it. Drink wine. When are we going to Kyogokuya? Butterfly asked Xiaoruo reluctantly. Tonight, tomorrow night, it's fine, it depends on whether you need to prepare, Xiaoruo replied very casually. He doesn't care what time it is. Ghosts are afraid of the sun in theory. It is best to go during the day, but during the day, ghosts usually hide. Then tomorrow night, tonight you've had a drink, and the ghost you're dealing with may be the upper string. I have some poison to prepare temporarily. Dai Ren finished speaking, glanced at Xiaoruo, and stared at the wine glass in his hand. Butterfly Ren was a little helpless. Regarding this situation, Butterfly Ren didn't want to say anything. Anyway, Xiaoruo was such a person. Xiaoruo didn't notice Dai Ren's eyes, but picked up the wine glass and took another sip. "Okay, let's go tomorrow night. Tonight, Miss Ren can rest here with me to recharge your spirits." Butterfly raised her eyebrows slightly, as if she had heard something interesting. "Really? You want to rest together? Ahem, I mean, you sleep on the bed, I just find a place to lean against," Xiaoruo immediately explained. Dai endured looking at Xiaoruo's face, and a nice smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. "The bed is so comfortable. I just saw that the bed is quite big. Next to Li Xiaohuaqi, it looks like it can sleep two people. Why don't you come together? Mr. Xiaoruo." Dai Ren suddenly made a joke for Xiaoruo, as if she wanted to tease Xiaoruo and tease him. But Xiaoruo has rich experience in public relations, so naturally she won't be molested like this. "Forget it, I'm really not that kind of person. I'm serious about this kind of thing." Xiaoruo shook her head, then looked at Butterfly Ninja, smiled and said, next time, if MS Ninja asks me out alone, maybe I will agree. After all, MS Ninja is completely different from ordinary women. So charming. Snored. Butterfly endured being teased by Sioruo, her face turned reddish, she didn't know how to respond for a while, so she could only snort coldly, "It's a good idea." After that, after eating, the two of them went to rest directly. Butterfly Shinobu didn't want to sleep at first. Zhu's physical fitness, a few days without sleep has no effect. But Sioruo kept telling her to pay attention to rest, sleep to nourish her face, stay up late to hurt her body, and other health-preserving and brainwashing words, so that Dai Ren had no choice but to sleep in the end. Sioruo leaned against the wall to rest, while Butterfly Shinobu lay beside Li Xia. Early the next morning, Sioruo and Butterfly Ren left. Before leaving, Sioruo left some gold for Li Xia. The money was enough for her to redeem herself. Anyway, if they met, they were destined, and Sioruo didn't care about the money. Butterfly Ninja then found a place to prepare poison for the next battle. Her sword is different from the swords of other team members. There is no blade in the middle, and it is a sword that can cut the neck of ghosts. There is a special mechanism on the sword. The overall shape of the sword is like a syringe. The proportion of poison can be adjusted on the handle of the knife, and the corresponding poison can be configured on the spot. It is an excellent mechanism. In order to deal with the night battle, Butterfly endured all the poisons were taken out and put into the mechanism in his sword. And Sioruo didn't make any preparations, and just quietly watched Dai Ren. Because I have never cooperated before, let's explain to each other now, Chongju, Butterfly Shinobi. Butterfly Ninja picked up the knife in his hand and glanced at Sioruo. My fighting method is to use poison, because my strength is too weak to cut off the ghost's head, so the main attack method is to kill with poison, but, I have never fought against Shangxian before, so I don't know if my poison is effective for Shangxian. That's it, do you still want to exchange information with each other? Sioruo nodded, indicating that she understood. Sioruo, the breath of water, is good at speed and swordsmanship, has a good physique, great strength, and is relatively durable. Butterfly nodded. She dared to stay here and fight Shangxian because Sioruo was here. She felt that Sioruo's strength was not weaker than other pigs. In fact, she had analyzed the battle in her head. As long as he successfully injects the venom into Shangxian's body, the opponent will definitely be slow in action. At this time, Sioruo just needs to seize the opportunity to make a move, and the battle is not impossible to win. The sky was getting dark and it was time to start. Okay, let's sneak into the Kyogoku house now. Sneak in? Why do you want to sneak in? Sioruo looked at Butterfly Ninja in puzzlement. Just walk in openly, and let Fern-ji come to serve us. Sioruo took out a large amount of gold bars from her arms. Looking at the gold bar in Sioruo's hand, Dai Ren's mouth twitched. Sure enough, her thoughts and Sioruo's were not on the same line at all. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 172. Although Dai Ren was speechless, she felt that there was nothing wrong with Sioruo's proposal, so she didn't object. However, the identity of Butterfly Ninja Girl is not very convenient, so Sioruo prepared a male code for Butterfly Ninja and asked her to dress up a little bit, and Butterfly Ninja turned into a boy who looked 16 or 17 years old. Then there is no problem. After that, the two walked towards Kyogoku house in a swaggering manner. It was still the same routine. Sioruo held a lot of gold bars in his hand, and then walked into the Jingji house like this, and soon, someone received him warmly. Butterfly frowned after swallowing it in. She didn't really like the smell here, but it looked familiar to Sioruo, and... Where's the Warren? Where's the Fern concubine Warren in your store? Call me quickly. Gold is not a problem. Bang. A gold bar was thrown to the ground. Immediately, the surrounding Kyogokuya staff and geisha froze in place, as if they had never seen such a throwaway of money. Call. Call. Call now. Guests, please wait a moment. Seeing this scene, Dai couldn't help holding his forehead, feeling a little headache. And at this moment, something happened in the Kyogoku house. A girl who was packing up her things was kicked to the ground, and her life and death are unknown. Judging from the scene, she was kicked out of the room. When the proprietress of Kyogokuya rushed over, she found that the girl on the ground was bleeding profusely, as if she had been hit by a heavy object. In the end, what happened? The proprietress looked at the onlookers and asked, but she had already guessed something, because the girl seemed to be kicked out of the room of Huakui Fernji. Yes, it was made by Waranjiji. Just now Zaiwai accidentally dropped the gift that Waranjiji was given by a guest, and then Waranjiji. Yeah, are you in a coma? At this time, Fernji Huakui also slowly walked out of the room with a smile on her face, as if nothing happened. Fernji, you. The proprietress looked at Fernji, and her tone seemed a little nervous, as if she was a little afraid of Fernji. You hit too hard. Fernji just glanced at the proprietress, but there was no regret in her tone. I am indeed a little harsh on this child, but there is no way. Who made her clumsy? I hope she will pay more attention next time. By the way, please heal her and don't let her continue at my door. Yes. Yes. Right away. A man next to him who seemed to be in charge of management immediately responded loudly, and then hurriedly sent someone to treat the injured girl. Hurry up and take her down, don't make the Warren angry. That man seemed to be more afraid of Fernji Warren than the proprietress. Okay, let's go. Fernji Huakui returned to her room after saying this, and the rest of the people were just helping to save people tremblingly, not daring to say a word. It's just that the proprietress followed Fernji Huakui to her room. It's time to clarify some things, otherwise the entire Jingaku house will be panicked. Seeing Gigi's alluring face, the proprietress suppressed her inner fear. Fernji, give me enough time. Huh? What do you mean? Fernji glanced at the proprietress unexpectedly, as if she didn't expect her to dare to say such a thing to herself. I mean the children in our store, who were injured, pumped, and committed suicide. The proprietress seemed to have been dissatisfied with Fernji for a long time, but when she spoke, her tone was still a little nervous. The kid who committed suicide was bullied to death by you, Fernji. The proprietress knows that the source of some recent changes in Kyogokuya is the Warren from Kyogokuya. It's just because Fernji can make money for Kyogokuya, so she has been protecting her before, but now she can't bear it anymore. I've had enough of you, Fernji. You've gone too far. If you continue like this, you should leave. Oh. You mean, those kids who annoy me are right, but am I wrong? Also, do you think I did all the smoking? Gigi's eyes suddenly turned cold. She turned her head sideways and looked at the proprietress from top to bottom. Who do you think earned you money and made the store famous, old lady? At this moment, the proprietress seemed to feel a certain feeling of being stared at by a wild beast. It was a pressure that wanted to suffocate. Those eyes are not human eyes at all. Before, the proprietress only thought that Fernji had a problem and had a bad personality. She never thought that Fernji was not a human being, but at this moment, she seemed to realize something. When Fernji looked at her, the movement of her head and gaze from top to bottom reminded her of a story she heard when she was a child. It was a story I once heard told by an old woman in a tea house. Although the old woman was too old to forget, she was still able to tell the story about the Warren. Once upon a time there was an Warren who was handsome but had an extremely bad personality. The old lady said that it was unbelievable that she had seen such an Warren in her childhood and middle age. They looked exactly the same, but they had a bad personality. They were all named after G, and there was a unique habit. That habit is that whenever something is not pleasing to the eye, I am used to tilting my head and staring at others from top to bottom. In a split second, the landlady's cold air extended from the top of her head to the soles of her feet. In this tense atmosphere, suddenly a girl ran in and pushed open the door, breaking the weird atmosphere in the room. "Miss Boss, the rich man who went to Yaju house yesterday came to us. He took a lot of gold bars. He asked to see Fernji Warren by name. Now he has thrown away several gold bars, and he is still throwing away." The girl's tone seemed a little excited, and what she said completely took away the atmosphere in the room. At the same time, her words also attracted the attention of the two people in the room. The proprietress, "Dump the gold bars. Fernji, a guest who went to Yaju house yesterday?" "Yesterday, Syaruo went to Yaju house to order Lixia Huaqiai, spending a lot of money. What he didn't know was that in just one day, the news had already become a story and spread. Places like Huaja couldn't hide the news, and geisha liked to talk about interesting and attractive things when chatting. Rumor. And the rich handsome guy throwing gold, this kind of news attracts the attention of geisha, who doesn't want to be spotted by such a person, so the story adapted by Syaruo and Lixia Huaqiai spread throughout Huaja within a day, even Fernji knew it. According to the rumors, a handsome rich man came to Yaju house and ordered the most beautiful Lixia Huaqiai. The two drank and talked with each other, and spent a night with Lixia Huaqiai. Not only did she redeem her body, but he also took away her heart completely. So much so that even after he left, Lixia Huaqiai still missed him. For the geisha in the flower street, this kind of story is what they look forward to most, and this story may continue to spread. After hearing this story, Fernji also became interested in that person. She doesn't care about money, but what she cares about is prestige and fame. Even if she becomes a ghost, she likes the feeling of being admired by others. She didn't like Lixia before, because that woman was very beautiful and took away some of her fame. This time the heroine of the story is Lixia, which made Fernji very upset. She didn't like the feeling of being robbed of the limelight. Handsome guest? Then let me receive it. Fernji also wanted to see what the handsome hero in the story was like, so she glanced at the proprietress. She had actually been intent on killing just now, but now the killing intent disappeared, and her attention was on other things. "Matter. Miss Boss, go and stabilize him first. I'll put on some makeup and I'll be right over." "Okay." The proprietress wiped the sweat off her head. After guessing the truth, she was satisfied to survive, so she nodded and retreated. "Remember, knowing some things, it's the smartest way not to tell them," Fernji said meaningfully. "Yes." Hearing this voice, the proprietress' body trembled again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 173. Syaruo naturally didn't know what was going on behind the Jingji house. He just sat in a high-class room drinking. The man who looked like a tortoise asked him to arrange a geisha first, but Syaruo pushed him away. He only asked to see the Fern Princess Warren. But after seeing him drinking, Dai Dai couldn't help but pinch him from behind. "It's important, don't drink." "Okay." Butterfly couldn't bear to drink. Syaruo slowly put down the wine glass. He felt that the alcohol content of this kind of Japanese wine was not high, and he always drank it as a drink. Since he couldn't drink anymore, Syaruo had nothing to do, so he fed Tom some snacks on the table. "Why did you bring Tom with you? Maybe it will be dangerous soon." Dai Dai Ren looked at Tom beside Syaruo, and asked with some incomprehension. "Danger? There will be no danger," Syaruo said, stroking Tom's fur. "If there is danger, Tom will protect me, won't you, little Tom?" After Syaruo finished speaking, she glanced at Tom. Hearing Syaruo's words, Tom gave him a disgusted look, then moved a little distance to one side, as if to draw a clear line. At this time, The proprietress also came over. Does the guest want to see Huaqui Fernji? She is putting on makeup now, please wait a moment, the proprietress apologized to Sioruo. It's okay, just wait for a while, I can wait, Sioruo seemed very indifferent. The proprietress looked at Sioruo and hesitated, but she finally said it out, guest, Warren Jiji is a showman, I hope the guest will not force Warren Jiji, if the guest can't accept it, I can recommend it to the guest. A few other geishas, keeping the guests happy. The main reason is that the proprietress was afraid that Sioruo would offend Fernji and lose her life. She also remembered now that those guests who offended Fernji will disappear inexplicably. Really, I like this style of Warren. They come out of the mud without being stained. The more you say that, the more I want to see the Warren Gigi. Sioruo looked at the ugly face of the proprietress and smiled. Well, the guest, please wait a moment, after finishing speaking, the proprietress lowered her head and slowly exited the room. Not long after, Fernji finished her makeup, opened the door and walked in. As soon as she came in, all the other employees who had previously served in this room withdrew, leaving only Fernji Warren alone. Dai Dai Ren stood behind Sioruo all the time, and the moment Fernji came in, she felt a strange feeling. A sticky discomfort. But apart from this feeling like a sixth sense, Butterfly Shinobi can't tell whether the other party is a ghost or not. If she is really a ghost, then this kind of disguise is really terrible, and even Zu can't sense it. After noticing this, Butterfly Ninja's body tensed slightly, trying to restrain his emotions, not to be noticed by the target, and looking for flaws in Fernji. At the same time, Butterfly glanced at Sioruo's direction. Butterfly Ren is a little strange, it seems that Sioruo is still in the place of Fenjiao, and has not changed since coming here, even after Fernji came in. Could it be that Sioruo can't tell whether the other party is a ghost, so she is not in a hurry to make a move, want to try it out? Butterfly Ninja still remembered what Sioruo said to himself before coming, that he would give a signal when he did it. So Dai Ren stayed still for the time being, waiting for Sioruo's signal. Unlike Xia who came in, Fernji's appearance is very delicate, but her eyes are also very sharp, giving people a sense of oppression, but with her coquettish appearance and figure, matched with her eyes, she looks very temperamental. No wonder so many people are still flocking to it. The guests have been waiting for a long time. Fernji bowed to Sioruo, with a professional smile on her face, and glanced at Sioruo and Butterfly Ninja who was dressed in men's clothing, but her gaze stayed on Butterfly Ninja for a few seconds, as if she had discovered something. The period of time waiting for beautiful things to appear actually has a special charm. Sioruo shook her head, looking at Fernji, seemed to be attracted by Fernji's beauty. After paying such a short waiting time, to be able to see such a beautiful Fernji Warren, the short wait is really worth it. Haha, the guest is really good at talking, Gigi smiled lightly, as if Sioruo's words were very useful. Maybe I'm more honest. Although Sioruo knew the identity of Fernji, she didn't let Butterfly Ninja do it directly. The main reason was to enrich the story of the fan and add more content to the fan. It would be too monotonous to start playing directly. It's actually quite interesting to perform with each other in this way and see who will reveal the other's identity first. Today's room has become a stage, Fernji plays the Warren, Sioruo plays the guest, and Butterfly Shinobi plays the attendant. Let me play a song for the guests, Fernji said to Sioruo, and at the same time picked up the shamisen placed there. This room is prepared for distinguished guests, and it is placed not far away. There are many musical instruments, and the shamisen is the instrument that all geisha will play. It's my honor to be able to listen to Miss Fernji's performance, Sioruo said with a gentle smile. Fernji did not reply, but nodded lightly, put her hands on the strings, and as her fingers plucked, wonderful music slowly appeared. Fernji's performance was very good. The Warren who has been playing for hundreds of years is so proficient in playing that even Tom on the side listened and nodded. And Sioruo got up, walked slowly to the side of Fernji, also picked up a shamisen, and played with Fernji. The same piece of music, when matched with each other, the music of the piece is actually more beautiful. After the performance, Gigi looked at Sioruo in surprise. She didn't expect that Sioruo could play the shamisen, and she played it so well. I didn't expect the guest's instrument to be very good. Fernji is indeed a little curious. Rich people like Sioruo usually practice this instrument. I like music very much. Apart from the shamisen, I can play many other musical instruments, such as guitars. Those who use prestige to learned it with only a few prestige, and I didn't expect it to be useful one day. Guitar. Fernji had never heard of this instrument. Foreign musical instruments, violin. If Miss Fernji likes it, you can come to my house, I will play it for you, and I can teach you by the way, Sioruo said with a smile. I didn't expect that the guests are so talented. I always feel that they are different from the previous guests. Fernji blinked her big eyes twice, and her long eyelashes seemed to be dancing. I really want to listen to the tone of the six-stringed instrument. At this time, Fernji was really interested in Sioruo. Fernji is quite confident in her charm, and wanted to make Sioruo submit to herself, so she pretended to be a little depressed, and took a look at Sioruo. I like guests very much, but I didn't expect that the guest went to see you yesterday. It's really sad to lose Licia. You said Licia. Licia's Warren is indeed a very beautiful woman with good talents. Sioruo seemed to think of something and nodded. Huh? Do you like Lixia? At this point, Fernji's tone seemed a little unhappy. I haven't finished yet. Although Miss Licia is very beautiful, she is just a little worse than Miss Fernji. Moreover, Miss Licia lacks some things. Sioruo paused at this point. What's missing? Fernji asked curiously. Lack of temperament, that kind of charming temperament, only possessed by charming women, and there is such a person in front of me. Sioruo looked at Fernji's face, as if she was deeply involved in it. When Fernji heard Sioruo's words, the corners of her mouth curled up slightly, as if it was very helpful. After all, that's what she likes to hear. So it's true that I'm prettier than Lixia? Sioruo nodded, and slowly approached Fernji, reaching a very close distance. Of course it's true, I only remember beautiful things. In my impression, the most beautiful things are moonlight and snow color. 2, and you are the third, stunning. Huh. Fernji let out a breath, and Sioruo said this. She found that she had been a ghost for so many years, and suddenly felt a sense of being teased again. Butterfly Shinobi. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 174. Sioruo seemed to feel a certain kind of gaze, and glanced at Dainin, and found that Dainin looked at him with a kind of top-down disdain, as if looking at a scumbag. Well. Sioruo didn't know how to explain it. The professional habits were a bit scary, and she unconsciously wanted to make female customers happy. Guest, sit down and have a drink. Gigi suddenly held Sioruo's arm, took Sioruo to the table and sat down, picked up the flagon and poured a glass of wine for Sioruo, and even brought it in front of Sioruo. Thank you, Miss Fernji. Sioruo didn't refuse, picked up the glass and drank. At the wine table, Sioruo found the feeling again. She and Yuji were chatting and drinking. Because of her modern knowledge, Yuji was amused by Sioruo's jokes from time to time. Moreover, Sioruo also told Fernji about her many travel experiences, as well as some anecdotal knowledge learned from the internet, which fascinated Fernji. In her life, she has hardly been out of Hwaja. Even if she becomes the same is true for hundreds of years. After being in Warren all her life, it seems that the fallen concubine has become a part of Hwaja. Although she is arrogant and conceited, She is still unconsciously attracted by Sioruo's narration, her eyes are shining brightly. She has never seen or heard of many things, because no one has ever told her about them. These things. Even for a moment, she was attracted by the world Sioruo narrated, and wanted to leave Hwaja to see a wider world, but after a few seconds, she gave up. Because she is Luoji, the ghost of Hwaja's Warren, she doesn't know that she left Hwaja and stopped being an Warren. What is the meaning of her existence? She is just a ghost who can't see the sun. The guest is really amazing. He has been to so many places and has such a wonderful life. Yuji admires it very much. Yuji toasted Sioruo with a glass of wine. I am very honored to be able to chat with the guest. I'm also very honored to be able to drink with Miss Fernji. Miss Fernji is really the most beautiful Warren I've ever seen. Sioruo didn't lie, but he only met 2 Warrens. Sioruo praised her so much, the corners of Fernji's mouth curled up slightly, and her eyes narrowed happily. The feeling of being praised by this guest is completely different from the feeling of being praised before. Cough cough. Butterfly on the side couldn't stand it anymore, and couldn't help coughing twice. She felt that Sioruo didn't come to exorcise ghosts, but to pick up girls, so she couldn't help reminding her. Hearing the cough, Gigi glanced at Butterfly Shinobi standing behind, covered her mouth and snickered. The guests are really interesting. It's the first time I've seen such a situation with a girl on the flower street. Aren't you afraid that the lady behind you will be jealous? After all, Fernji has been a ghost for hundreds of years. For Dai Ninja's simple disguise as a man, she can see through it at a glance, but she is also a little curious, why this guest brought a woman to find the Warren. You mean Xiren? Sioruo smiled faintly, as if it was nothing to be exposed as a woman of Butterfly Ninja. I have nothing to do with her. She used to be a poor child. She used to live on the street because of family reasons. I adopted her because I thought she was pitiful. Now Xiren is helping me with chores and other things. Dai endured hearing that Sioruo had forged an identity story for herself, but she didn't say anything, so she lowered her head, acquiescing. Really? Fernji glanced at Butterfly Ninja's chest, and couldn't help covering her mouth with a smile. Indeed, she's still young, she looks like a child. Butterfly couldn't help clenching her fists when she heard Fernji's words. Compared with Waraji's exquisite figure and tall height, Butterfly Shinobi really looks like a child. The guest's vision is quite good, and he really found a good seedling. This child can dress up a little bit, and I think he will not be weaker than ordinary Warrens. Of course, he is much worse than me. Fernji thought that Sioruo had taken a fancy to Butterfly Ren's appearance, so she took her in. Many rich people like to do such things. You misunderstood, I didn't mean anything else. I treated Xiaoren like a younger sister. Sioruo shook her head, indicating that she didn't mean anything else. Is that so? Fernji was a little surprised, and she took another look at Butterfly Ninja. Judging from the details she observed before, it seemed that the relationship between the two of them was not the same as what the guest said. It seems that the guest is really a good person. Without you, it is estimated that the child's final fate will not be starved to death on the street, but there is a high probability that he will be sold to Hwaja. When Fernji said these words, it seemed that she was recalling her own experience as a human being. This is how she experienced it. It was an experience that was hard to look back on. As the first string 6, but Fernji was once a human being. She has been beautiful since she was a child, but her parents died, and she lived with her ugly brother. She has always been poor and lived a hard life in this cold world. Get better. But misfortune always came very quickly. When a samurai wanted to force her by force, in order to keep her innocence, she resisted desperately and poked one of the samurai's eyes blind with a hairpin. However, relying on her identity, how could she resist other people's revenge? In the end, the angry samurai made people set fire to burn Fernji into coke. It can only be said that this world is not gentle. She has never been treated tenderly by this world, never loved, never been loved, and never felt love, so she has never regretted becoming a ghost, and she has no rejection of cannibalism. The world has never treated her tenderly, so why should she treat the world tenderly? In the process of communicating with Syaruo, Gigi suddenly discovered that if it was not that bastard samurai she met before but Syaruo, her life might be different again. Fernji can feel that Syaruo is a very gentle person, which cannot be concealed. Although she likes to say those provocative words, she is a bit like a scumbag, but she is very kind, handsome and talented. When Syaruo was chatting, Gigi suddenly seemed to have regained the feeling of being a human being. Unlike the people who only coveted her beauty before, Syaruo really praised her without any evil thoughts in his eyes. Maybe it was really interesting when chatting with Syaruo, or maybe it was teased. Fernji's view of Syaruo gradually changed, and there was a feeling in her heart that had never appeared before. May I know the name of the guest? Fernji looked at Syaruo and asked. Syaruo smiled softly, I have already said my name, and Miss Fernji's name, can you tell me? Fernji is just the stage name of the Warren, but what Syaruo wants to know is her real name. My name. Fernji seems to be lost in memory, her name, Fallenji? No, this is the name she took after she became a ghost. It is the name of Shangxian ghost. To Syaruo, she didn't want to answer this name, and her real name, after so many years, is almost forgotten with the memories of the past. But when Syaruo asked her like this, her memory slowly came back. My name is, Mei. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Zhumiao. Chapter 175. Plum. Fernji didn't like this name. Because I heard from my brother that the name Mei was derived from the disease name of her dead mother. She hated this name very much, and also hated her own human identity. But at this moment, Gigi suddenly wanted to regain her human identity, because it was the first time she had a slight affection for human beings, and this kind of affection was hard to find in ghosts. Only, none of this worked. Afterwards, the two were still drinking, but Syaruo could clearly feel that Fernji exuded a sense of sadness, because she had experienced too much, and Syaruo was sensitive to the changes in women's moods. After drinking a few glasses of wine with Syaruo, Gigi felt dizzy because she was very close to Syaruo, so she subconsciously leaned into Syaruo's arms. Miss Mei, what's the matter with you? I just seem to have drunk too much. Fernji was in Syaruo's arms, and she didn't mean to leave. She had never felt love before, but she suddenly wanted to feel the warmth in Syaruo's arms. I think this feeling is very comfortable. Perhaps, those stupid women in the flower street who like to be Pyaoka are also in the same mood. When they have such a feeling, they hope to hold on tightly. Mr. Syaruo, I don't want to stay in Huaja anymore, will you redeem me? In Syaruo's arms, Gigi suddenly asked this question. At this moment, Gigi suddenly forgot the fact that she was a ghost, and wanted to return to the tragic memory of being a human being. As if traveling through time and space, he returned to the era when he was still human. Fernji became the former Mei. And Syaruo became the warrior who was poked blind by himself. Yes, I will redeem Miss Mei's body, even now, no matter how much money it is, I will take it out. Syaruo's tone was firm, and he could feel that what Mei was waiting for was his answer, and Syaruo also noticed that Fernji's face had turned pale. Fernji smiled, very happy and innocent, not like that cruel and arrogant winding six, but like an ordinary geisha among human beings. She really wanted this answer, as if getting this answer would change her tragic experience. In the past, if only I met you. Unfortunately, you are late. Fernji slowly raised her head in Syaruo's arms, as if she wanted to kiss her. She found that she might really have a crush on this man, or other feelings. However, at the moment when she was about to kiss Yoruo, Fernji stopped. Cough cough cough. Gigi suddenly coughed violently in Sioruo's arms, spitting out a lot of blood. I'm so cold. Fernji felt that her body was getting colder, so she hugged Sioruo more tightly, but the warmth on Sioruo's body could not dispel the coldness on her body. Slowly, the skin on Fernji's body began to twist, her blood vessels swelled, and her whole body twitched in Sioruo's arms. Miss May. Looking at this scene, Sioruo seemed to realize something, and looked at Butterfly Ninja. When did you take the poison? Butterfly endured the indifference on her face, and after waiting for a while, the convulsions on Fernji's body had stopped, and her eyes also became lifeless. The poison took effect, and Fernji appeared to be dead. I didn't come here to play emotional games. I poisoned the wine from the beginning, but because it is a special poison, it is colorless and tasteless, so you didn't notice it? Butterfly Ninja seems to have planned it from the beginning. The poison I designed won't take effect instantly, so you keep drinking to increase the toxicity on her body. Fortunately, you have good skills and poured so much alcohol into her. Otherwise, the normal dose may not be so large. Effect. I used wisteria flower-based poison, which has no effect on humans. If she were human, she would not have any symptoms. Now, looking at her, the results have proved everything. She is what we are looking for, the ghost. After finishing speaking, Dai Dai Ren glanced at Sioruo with playful eyes. You don't really have feelings for ghosts, do you? She is a ghost, and we are human beings. Sioruo didn't answer her directly. It is impossible for Fernji to die like this. Although she is the sixth of the first string, the sixth of the first string is actually two ghosts, one is Gigi, and her brother Taro the prostitute. Both of them were beheaded at the same time, and she would not die. Sioruo was still holding Fernji's corpse in her arms. At this time, due to poisoning, Fernji's body had swollen blood vessels all over her body. It looked very ugly from the outside, just like the last coke she turned into in her previous life. But even with such an ugly corpse, Sioruo still didn't let go. Soon, the arm of the ugly corpse moved, and it caught Sioruo's neck in an instant. At the same time, Fernji's hair changed from black to white, two tattoos appeared on her face, and the color of her eyes also changed. Yellow, as if it has changed into a different person. She looked at Sioruo with her discolored pupils. You lied to me. Fernji, no, it should be Luoji's tone suppressing strong anger. Sioruo didn't make any big reactions, but just shook her head, with a hint of disappointment in her eyes. If you were human, I would redeem you, but as you said, I am late. Sioruo's words have already made her position clear. In fact, because of May's tragic experience, Sioruo really sympathized with her, and because of her professional habits, she chose to comfort her. For Sioruo, Fallen Ji is also her guest. Up. Sioruo didn't want to do anything to her guests either. But the moment she turned into a ghost, her fate changed. She became a powerful ghost and didn't need the help of others. It was only the human May who was miserable, not the evil ghost Luoji. Then you still don't let go. Luoji yelled at Sioruo. At this time, her body had completely recovered, but she was still in Sioruo's arms. Oh! Sioruo let go of her hand, and Luoji immediately jumped out. She was so close to Sioruo before, and Luoji didn't sneak attack. At this moment, a man's voice suddenly came from Luoji's body. My sister, you were deceived by humans, how pitiful you are. Slowly, an ugly man with no clothes on the upper body emerged from Luoji's body. This man was a young ghost with black and green short hair, hunchbacked, scrawny in appearance, with many black spots on his body. She is Fallen Ji's older brother, the prostitute Taro. The sixth on the string itself is a combination of the prostitute Taro and the fallen princess. Hearing this voice and the sudden appearance of the person, Butterfly Ninja became serious and took out her own knife at the same time. She did not expect that the most powerful poison she prepared had no effect. "Brother!" Luoji looked at her brother and shouted. "Sister, it's okay, they bullied you, I will avenge you, since the two of them belong to the Ghost Slayer squad, then kill them." Taro the prostitute said after looking at his sister. "Okay, this man, leave it to me, I will eat him." Luoji took out a belt from the floor and looked at Xiaoruo, while the prostitute Taro attacked Butterfly Ninja. Butterfly Shinobu looked at the attacking prostitute Taro, and ran out of the window directly. She couldn't fight in the room at all, and she was afraid that the ghost duo would have some combo skills, so it was Butterfly Shinobi who separated them. Judgment. "I can't escape." The prostitute Taro looked at the figure of Butterfly Ninja, and chased after him, leaving only Xiaoruo and Yuji in the room. He seemed to be very relieved of Yuji. "You are not my opponent," Xiaoruo said, looking at Luoji in front of her. "Then give it a try. I didn't like to eat men before, but you, I will eat slowly." Luoji seemed to have a lot of resentment towards Xiaoruo, and the belt on her body quickly cut towards Xiaoruo. Blood Ghost Technique, 8-fold belt slash. Luoji's belt covered Xiaoruo's direction like a spider's web. In this room, there was almost no blind spot, and Xiaoruo couldn't avoid it at all. However, Xiaoruo's eyelids did not even move. The breath of water, the shape of 11, Nagi. There seemed to be a huge wave around Xiaoruo, and then it became calm again in an instant. The surrounding water surface was as neat as a mirror. This is what he learned from Yi Yang. Luoji's belt broke and fell to the ground before it even got close to Xiaoruo's body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 176. The 11th form of water breathing, Nagi. This move is a move created by Shuizu Yiyang. It surpasses Mr. Lintaki's 10-shaped form and is the strongest defensive move. Taught it to myself. With this move, combined with Xiaoruo's realistic power attached to the sword, he can block almost any attack. The same goes for Luoji's attack. Even if her belt can easily tear through the wall, it is powerless against Xiaoruo's defense. Asshole. Seeing her attack being blocked so easily, Luoji's face turned red with anger. With a wave of her hand, the sash that Xiaoruo had just cut into pieces returned to its original shape and returned to her back. Her sash was actually Luoji's blood ghost technique, and it was also a part of her body. Her blood ghost technique is to use the belt to carry out various attacks and defenses. Although it looks like an ordinary belt, it is a bit harder than steel. If a swordsman is not good at swordsmanship, her belt can even cut off that person's sun-will sword. However, when facing Xiaoruo's wooden knife, Luoji found that her belt was cut off like dirt, and she felt no resistance at all. Why on earth is there something wrong with your sword? Because the attack was blocked, Luoji fell into a frenzy, frantically using the blood ghost technique, and attacked Xiaoruo with her belt. Her attack was like a storm. And now, that's all she can do, it seems. Asshole. 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 However, the gap in strength cannot be made up by anger. Xiaoruo easily blocks all of Luoji's crazy attacks. Shangxian Liu's main combat power is the prostitute Taro, while Yuji was killed by Yinzu in a single blow. In fact, she doesn't have the strength of Shangxian at all. As a ghost, Luoji is not 1 or 2 points behind her brother. Your attack has no effect on me at all. In Xiaoruo's eyes, Luoji's attack was actually very slow, not a threat at all, and Xiaoruo concentrated on her attack. Xiaoruo's sword moved. The breath of water, The shape of 3, the dance of flow. The body moves with the sword, and the sword is accompanied by the water flow, so she steps in the posture of flowing water. Sioruo's sword skills are flowing and dancing between her steps. G. Cut. After getting close to Luoji, Sioruo's knife cut through Luoji's neck in the blink of an eye. Having her neck cut off, Luoji's eyes were full of disbelief. She never expected that she would be defeated so easily. Luoji wanted to say something, but found that her head had fallen off her neck, and Sioruo grabbed it in her hands. Lost. That's it? Why did it become like this? Luoji was a little confused. Obviously at first she just wanted to meet this guest, and then when she was talking and drinking with the guest, she was moved. That was the first time she was moved. She ended up being cheated of her feelings and fed poisoned wine. She suffered great pain both physically and mentally. She wanted to take revenge on that man, but she couldn't beat her and was beheaded by that man. Head. It was the first time that Luoji had been bullied like this since she became a ghost in so many years. Sadness welled up in her heart, and in an instant, tears filled her eyes. Bastard! Why do you bully me so much, Wu? Even though there was only one head left for Luoji, she still wailed loudly, and her tears kept falling on the ground. Because she and the prostitute Taro have a life and death relationship, as long as the prostitute Taro does not die, fallen princess will not die either, so now that she has been beheaded, she can still cry normally. She was so sad, she couldn't stop being sad. Why did she have to go through this kind of thing? Seeing Luoji crying, Sioruo also fell silent. He remembered that in the original work, Luoji cried when she was taunted by Yinzu for being weak, but Sioruo still couldn't bear to see Luoji crying. When he was in the shop, the most unsightly thing he saw was a woman crying. Sioruo fixed Luoji's body on the floor with a knife, making her unable to move, and then hugged Luoji's head in her arms, trying to comfort her. Hey, don't cry. Sioruo wiped the blood on Luoji's face, revealing her delicate face, but now she only has one head left. The head was held in Sioruo's arms, and Luoji wanted to struggle, but because there was only one head left, she couldn't struggle, so she could only continue crying. Whoa, I'm about to cry, whoa. It doesn't look good to cry anymore. Sioruo hugged Luoji's head, found a place near the window and sat down, stroked her hair gently with her hand, and then pointed to the window that was just broken by Butterfly Ninja. Look, how round the moon is tonight, come watch the moon with me for a while. Fallen Princess. Sioruo hugged Luoji's head at this time, and then sat by the window to enjoy the moon. This scene is really indescribably weird. As if feeling the abnormal atmosphere, Luoji's crying became softer. You lied to me, and you still can't make me cry, Luoji said aggrievedly like a little girl at this time. Sioruo didn't quibble, but directly admitted, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm in the ghost killing team, and it's my responsibility to kill ghosts. If Ms. May were human, I guess we'd be fine. Friends, besides, I didn't lie to you when I said that I wanted to redeem Miss May's body. Luoji was being hugged by Sioruo at this time, unable to turn her head. She could only look at the moon outside the window. For some reason, there was an inexplicably unique feeling about being hugged and looking at the moon like this. Then what about the words you praised about my good looks before? Did you lie to me? The woman really still cared about her appearance. These are not lying to you, Miss May is indeed the most beautiful Warren I have ever seen, Sioruo whispered, although her voice was not loud, her tone was extremely serious. Well, he has only seen 2 Warrens. Then what about you poisoning me? How can you be so despicable? When I was poisoned, it hurt so much, my whole body hurt, Luoji asked angrily. I don't know about the poisoning at all. Butterfly endured the poison secretly. I would have had a few more drinks with you, Sioruo explained again. Hearing these words, Luoji stopped crying, and the tears stopped flowing. You didn't lie to me? Xiaoruo turned Luoji's head to face her, and each of them looked at each other like this. Look in my eyes, I'm absolutely not lying. Staring into Xiaoruo's eyes for a few seconds, Luoji seemed to believe what Xiaoruo said, and stopped crying at all, but fell into silence, not knowing what she was thinking. Xiaoruo. Xiaoruo suddenly felt that Luoji was really easy to coax. Although she didn't lie, she just explained a few times and she really stopped crying. Xiaoruo, you, don't become a ghost like me. Luoji actually started to turn against Xiaoruo. If you become a ghost, you can have eternal life, and you can live forever like me. Isn't that great? With eternal life, you can do everything you want matter. Xiaoruo looked at the moon outside the window and shook her head. I will not give up my human identity. Oh, Luoji sighed. She had guessed the answer a long time ago. The group of people in the ghost killing team were all lunatics, but she still couldn't help asking, just with such a small expectations. Since this is the case, we can only be in a hostile relationship, killing each other. Afterwards, neither of them spoke, and Luoji was quietly hugged by Xiaoruo, recovering her body without any resistance, and the two looked at the moon together. It was the first time for Luoji to watch the moon with a man so quietly. This feeling is actually not bad. The atmosphere fell into an inexplicable harmony, as if there were really only two undisturbed lovers left in the room. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Zhiwai. Chapter 177. After watching the moon together for a few minutes, Luoji couldn't help but speak first. Aren't you worried? Your companion just now, my brother, is stronger than me, and the number of pillars killed by him has already exceeded double digits. Your companion shouldn't last long. Luoji is quite confident about her brother, the prostitute Taro. She even thinks that her brother will come back soon and kill Xiaoruo here. At the same time, Luoji gave Xiaoruo a resentful look. When you were drinking with me just now, that woman seemed to be jealous, and she seemed to have a crush on you. Don't you want to help her? Xiaoruo glanced at the head of Luoji in her arms, and replied reflexively, if I go to help, wouldn't it be lonely to leave you here alone? You. Luoji's face turned red. She didn't expect that this scumbag could say such nice words even after he had beheaded herself. Bah, scumbag. Just wait, I guess that woman was killed by my brother just now, and when my brother comes back, you will die too. When Xiaoruo heard what Luoji said, there was really no worry on her face. No, Butterfly Shinobi will be fine. By Xiaoruo's side, Tom has been gone for a long time. In fact, at the beginning, Tom was hinted by Xiaoruo and followed the butterfly who left, so Xiaoruo didn't worry about the safety of Butterfly at all. On the side of Butterfly Ninja, Butterfly Shinobu ran with the prostitute Taro for a long time, and finally found a place inaccessible, and Butterfly Shinobu stopped his movements. Seeing the little girl stop, the prostitute Taro also stopped behind Butterfly Ninja, twisted his neck, with a ferocious smile on his face. You guy, because of your small size, you run very fast. I can't even catch up with you. If you keep running, maybe you still have hope of surviving. As Zoo, my mission is to kill evil spirits. How could I run away when I see ghosts? Butterfly smiled, and then glanced at the eyes of the prostitute Taro. Yeah, it's the sixth winding. It turns out to be the weakest winding. Huh. Taro the prostitute raised his brows. He noticed that the woman was stirring up his emotions, and Taro the prostitute didn't care much about such a small trick. Although it is the sixth of the winding, it is not something you can deal with. Taro the prostitute had 2 extra sickles in his hand, and these 2 sickles were his weapons. Scythe weapon? Butterfly paid attention to the prostitute Taro's weapon. She knew that what she was about to face might be a terrifying enemy she had never seen before, So she had already concentrated her attention to the extreme. Let me try to see if my poison has any effect on the winding. Butterfly Ninja was paying attention to the weapon of the prostitute Taro, and the prostitute Taro also noticed the knife of Butterfly Ninja. It was a knife that could not cut off other people's heads. It only had the tip of the knife, but no cutting edge. Ha ha ha, are you trying to kill me? Laughingly. You don't intend to kill me with that kind of knife, do you? A woman is a woman. Are you so weak that you can't cut off a ghost's neck? Are you really a pillar? No, let's get on with it. The prostitute Taro also began to mock Butterfly Ninja with words. However, the moment he finished speaking, Butterfly Shinobu disappeared in place. What about people? When the prostitute Taro wanted to think about this problem, he found that his right eye was blind. No, it's not that I couldn't see it, but it was pierced by the sword. The little girl in front of her didn't know when she disappeared in place, and her sword, which could only be pierced, also pierced her eyes at some point. It was so fast that even the prostitute Taro could only see a shadow of that little girl. Breath of worms, dance of bee teeth. After a while, the name of the move came. Haha, what a sharp stab, it's too late to even block it, but just piercing the eyes won't kill the ghost. Butterfly Ninja's thrust did not cause any harm to Taro the prostitute. The next moment, Taro the prostitute raised the sickle in his hand. Blood ghost art, flying blood sickle. The prostitute Taro swung his twin sickles, sending out blood slashes shaped like thin blades. There were so many of them, Butterfly Shinobu hurriedly backed away after seeing this scene. However, when Dai Dai was dodging, she found that those bloody slashes actually changed direction. These attacks can actually change direction. Butterfly Ninja was a little surprised. Fortunately, she was very fast and moved the sickles to other places, offsetting the attack of vampirism. Flying blood sickle, the blood ghost technique of Taro the prostitute, can change the attack trajectory according to the will of the prostitute Taro. It will not disappear until it hits the target, and it is highly poisonous. So fast. The prostitute Taro frowned when he saw Butterfly Shinobu's dodging movements. Because of her small size, her movements are too flexible and her speed is also very fast. It is estimated that her speed is one of the best in the column, and she is quite a troublesome opponent. Only. The prostitute Taro grinned, and pointed to his own neck. You can't kill a ghost with stabs. The neck is the neck. The weakness of ghosts is the neck. You have to cut off my neck, otherwise you won't be able to defeat me at all. The so-called is the column just this level? At this time, Butterfly Ninja had put the knife back into the scabbard, and glanced at the prostitute Taro who was mocking him. It's true that stabbing doesn't work, but what about the poison? Well. The prostitute Taro suddenly felt his eyes blur and his body became heavy. He couldn't even support the simple movement of standing on the ground. He knelt down on the ground and began to vomit blood from his mouth. The poison seems to have entered the brain of the prostitute Taro, and his eyes have turned purple because of the poison. However, after being poisoned by such a powerful poison, Taro the prostitute was still laughing. It's a powerful poison. It's really powerful, it's even stronger than the poison that was given to Fallen Girl just now. It's been redeployed. Ahem. Blood was spitting out of his mouth, but the prostitute Taro smiled even more happily. You actually used poison on me. It seems that you used the wrong person. I just happened to use poison too. Slowly, the prostitute Taro stood up from the ground, and the signs of poisoning on his face receded. Your poison seems to have been decomposed by me. Poison, it's actually useless. Dai Dai Ren frowned even deeper. She never thought that her poison would have such little effect on the string. The prostitute Taro looked at Butterfly Shinobi and began to tell her his memories. You know what? I grew up in the dirtiest streets. When I was hungry, snakes, centipedes, frogs, etc., I will eat it. Poison does not matter to me, and I will use poison." Saying that, Taro the prostitute slowly approached Butterfly Shinobi. "It's so pitiful, little girl, what else can you do when the poison is useless?" "I can break the dimensional wall." Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 178. Huh. Butterfly Shinobu took a deep breath and posed in a sword pose. Since the first poison was useless, then change it. She can also mix new proportions and make new poisons. Try to inject a large amount of poison in a combo. Thinking of this, Butterfly Ninja moved, and she shot again. Breath of insects, dance of dragonflies. Butterfly Ninja intends to use multiple attacks to inject a large amount of poison into the body of the prostitute Taro. Only this time, the hooker Taro, who was ready and concentrated, saw Butterfly Shinobi's movements clearly. Blood ghost art, domineering. The prostitute Taro quickly swung the double sickles with both hands, and slashed around his body, forming a powerful shield with the slashes, but even with the defense against blood ghosts, Butterfly Ninja still found many loopholes. Swish. 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 Several wounds appeared on the body of the hooker Taro. "Your speed is really fast, among the pillars I have encountered, the fastest one." The prostitute Taro shouted, but his counter-attack followed closely. The prostitute Taro's melee level is stronger than that of ordinary pillars, and his sickle cut towards Butterfly Ninja. Swish. The two passed by. Pooh. Butterfly Ninja's shoulder was also slashed by the prostitute Taro. Seeing this scene, the prostitute Taro knew that the victory had been divided. "If you cut my neck instead of poison, it would be a bit troublesome, but it seems that you can't cut my neck." Although the prostitute Taro had a poisoning reaction, but soon, the poison it was broken down by him and subsided. The recovery speed of the upper string is quite different from that of the lower string. Look, which one of us is more poisonous? How long can your human body last? Haha. Next, the two fought against each other several times. However, Butterfly Ninja didn't take any advantage. Even if he stabbed him, his poison would not last long, and all the poison was decomposed by that ghost. Hoo. Dai Ren found that her breathing was a little short, and her speed became slow. It is estimated that the poison on the sickle took effect. The winding ghost is really different from the ghosts she has seen before. Butterfly Ninja felt helpless. The gap is too big. The prostitute Taro cracked an ugly smile on his face, and slowly walked towards Butterfly Ninja. "Look at you, you realize that the gap between us is indeed very big, but don't worry, the number of pillars I killed is not too small, you are fairly strong. Are you going to die here today? Is there no way to avenge my sister?" Butterfly Ren felt a sense of powerlessness, which was a sense of powerlessness towards Shangxian Ghost. In the ghost-killing team, it is estimated that only Mr. Yanzu is the opponent of Shangxian Ghost. At this moment, there was a meowing sound suddenly. Meow. Huh. A wild cat? Taro the prostitute looked in the direction of the meowing sound. In the direction of the meowing sound, a cat wearing clothes and a sword appeared, which was really strange. Originally, he didn't want to pay attention to a cat, but his intuition told him that there was something different there, which was a strange feeling. "Tom, how did it get here?" Butterfly looked at Tom, who suddenly appeared, a little strange. Tom actually arrived a long time ago. He followed Butterfly Ninja, but he didn't make a move at the beginning in order to learn the master's pretentious skills. He only came out when Butterfly Ninja was about to die, which made him look different, and even more, there is aura. However, it would be great if he could say a few harsh words. Tom is also a little helpless about this, but these are not important. Tom moved. Swish. Pulling out the sword and making a move, Tom appeared behind the prostitute Taro in an instant, and his speed was actually a bit faster than Butterfly Ninja at the beginning. After Tom's figure appeared, the water foam in the air slowly emerged. Puff. A column of blood spurted out from the hooker Taro's neck. Just a moment ago, Tom's knife cut across the neck of the prostitute Taro, but because he felt the danger intuitively, he dodged back, so the head was not completely cut off, but the neck was cut in half. Almost died. But even so, it's shameful enough, he is a ghost, and he was humiliated by a cat. Are you kidding me? A cat? Why can a cat use a knife? Is it a black technology newly researched by the ghost killing squad? It's the whole card to deal with Lord Wumi? The prostitute Taro yelled in disbelief. In the distance, in the infinite city. What, the black technology of the ghost killing team? Deal with my whole card. Wumi, who was watching the show from the perspective of the prostitute Taro, suddenly slapped the table and stood up, startling Naruto who was beside him, as if he had never seen Master Wumi so excited before. Wumi can connect the sight of all ghosts, so he noticed the battle of Shangxian ghost immediately. The appearance of Tom really scared Wumi a bit. After all, cats that have always been unreasonable are unknown to Wumi. If it is really a black technology developed by the ghost killing team, it will be terrible. The ghost killing squad has actually mastered the ability to transform living things. The speed just now? Wumi recalled the speed of Tom's shot just now. With the help of magic, breathing and his own talent, Tom's speed is indeed very fast. It is estimated that in the first string, only Heishimu is the opponent of the cat. I didn't expect that this battle actually let me see such cards as the Ghost Slayer squad. The prostitute Taro and Yuji are worth dying for. Wumi didn't seem to care about the death of the prostitute Taro and Luoji, and even for him, Shangliu was not as important as a piece of information. The prostitute Taro naturally didn't know that Wumi had already determined that he was dead, and now all his perceptions were placed on Tom. Butterfly Ninja has been completely ignored by him. Whoosh! Tom disappeared in the same place again, but this time, Tom drove the wind travel technique around the prostitute Taro, and beside the prostitute Taro, there was almost an after-image circle made of cats. Too fast, at that speed, if the human body told the movement like this, it would definitely collapse, but the cat completely endured it. This cat is more like a monster than a ghost. What kind of monster are you? Blood ghost art, circle cut and circle. A large number of blood blades appeared on the sickle of the prostitute Taro again, cutting towards the surroundings, but those blood blades did not cut anything. All were dodged. Swish. The hooker Taro seemed to sense the cat's shadow, but his body couldn't keep up. The next moment, his head flew into the air. This time, it seemed that he was not so lucky, and Tom's knife cut off the cat directly. Up his head. Such a fast speed, such an exquisite swordsmanship, this monster may not be weaker than Master Haishimao. The head of the prostitute Taro rolled to the ground, and he still glanced at Tom unwillingly. It was really aggrieved to be killed by a cat. Moreover, he felt that Luoji's head was also beheaded, and the brother and sister had their heads cut off at the same time. This time, he could no longer continue to regenerate. Slowly, the prostitute Taro was reduced to ashes. Tom. Butterfly endured the poison and fell to the ground. He tilted his head and looked in Tom's direction, as if he couldn't accept this fact. Tom put away the knife and looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, looking lonely as a master. I hope you will be treated kindly by this world in the next life. In Jingji House, Luoji's head was also turned into ashes in Xiaoruo's arms. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 179. Not long after the battle ended, Xiaoruo's figure appeared in front of Butterfly Ninja. Miss Shinobu, are you alright? It's just that Xiaoruo found that Dai Dai Ren's face was still a little pale, so she asked worriedly. It's okay, I've prepared the antidote and used it just now, just rest for a while. Butterfly Ninja shook her head. After all, she also uses poison, so she has her own way to deal with poison. That's good. Xiaoruo took a look, and Dai Ren really didn't look like he was seriously injured. What about you? Have you dealt with that Warren? For this question, Xiaoruo just hummed lightly. It's fine when it's over. Dai's Hiran heaved a sigh of relief, with a smile on his face. I didn't expect that we would have such a harvest when we came out this time. We killed Shang Xian. In the battle with ghosts, this achievements that have not been achieved in hundreds of years. Speaking of this, Dai Ren glanced at Xiaoruo. You are the only one in our generation of ghost-killing teams who killed Shang Xian ghost. You also have credit for this battle, Xiaoruo said, shaking her head. No, I was no match for the battle just now, Butterfly Shinobi said. The corner of her mouth twitched and she glanced at the yawning tomcat, as if recalling the terrifying strength of that cute cat. Tom is the real contributor. By the way, didn't you say that Tom is a stray cat? What's going on? How can he use the breathing method? Tom, it's a cat from overseas, and I don't know what those foreign devils in the West did. It may be drugged, or a genetic mutation may also be possible. Xiaoruo casually found a reason. Then when I was learning the breathing method, Tom figured it out on his own. Xiaoruo didn't notice Tom's breathing method until after the training, but she wasn't too surprised, because it was quite normal for Tom to do this. Is that so? Butterfly felt that the reason Xiaoruo gave was ridiculous, but it was not for this reason. It was difficult to explain why the cat mutated into this way. Afterwards, Xiaoruo and Dai Ninja tidied up and were ready to return to the ghost-killing squad. However, before they went back, Raven had already sent the information to the ghost-killing team. After receiving the news, Yabayashiki clenched his fists excitedly, as if he didn't expect Xiaoruo to bring him such a surprise. Great, well done, Xiaoruo, Butterfly Ren, it's been 113 years. It's been 113 years. Kikik. It seems that because of being too excited, Yabayashiki coughed out due to physical reasons, and he was already weak after being cursed. The lady next to him patted him on the back, seeming a little worried about his body. It's just that Yabayashiki's face is still full of excitement. The situation that has remained unchanged for 100 years has finally ushered in a change. Tianyan, do you know the Harbinger? It indicates that the destiny will undergo a huge change. The Harbinger is the ripple, and the ripple will slowly spread, involving everything around it and spreading to him. Anime Tsujimumi. I will definitely defeat you in our generation. Yabashiki Yoyo's voice is extremely penetrating, as if it can reach Wuyo's ears. By the time Xiaoruo and Butterfly Ninja defeated Shang Xianlu and returned to the headquarters of the ghost-killing squad, 6 days had passed since the death of the prostitute Taro. After all, Butterfly Ninja's body was poisoned. Although it wasn't fatal, the impact was still there, and she couldn't go at full speed, so Xiaoruo rented a carriage for her, and the two of them drove back to the ghost-killing squad slowly in a carriage. During this period, nothing special happened. Even in the carriage, Xiaoruo will take care of Butterfly Ren, and then have a drink with her or something. The relationship between the two has deepened again. After all, they have fought together. When Xiaoruo went back, the Lord immediately received him and Butterfly Ninja. Although the other pillars had their own affairs and did not come back, Yabayashiki directly promoted Xiaoruo to the pillar. The condition for becoming a pillar was to kill the 12 Kazuki, and if Xiaoruo killed the upper string, he would naturally become a pillar. Does not require recognition of other columns. However, Xiaoruo has been entangled by Tom for a long time on the road, which probably means that it will also become a pillar, and it will also pretend to be a bee. It was troublesome when Tom was serious, and Xiaoruo was also a little helpless. When he was summoned by the Lord, he mentioned this matter to the Lord. Yubayashiki had already known about the existence of Tom through the information given by the crow before. He was a mutant cat that was so powerful that he could easily kill Kazuki. Yubayashiki was also very happy about this extra combat power. It doesn't matter if it changes or not. However, after hearing Syaruo's request, Yubayashiki still had a wonderful expression on his face. You mean, Tomcat also wants the title of Zoo? Yes. Butterfly stood aside and was stunned when he heard Syaruo's request. Let the cat be the pillar. This is Syaruonang's suggestion. By analogy, isn't it just letting the little snake raised by Snake Zoo be the pillar? Can animals be pillars? However, Butterfly Shinobu was saved by Tom, and Tom is really strong, so Butterfly Shinobi stayed aside and didn't speak, otherwise she would have said nonsense long ago. It's like this. You may not understand, my lord. Although Tom is just a mutant cat, he has intelligence not weaker than humans, and his strength is also very strong. In the winding battle, Tom is also the main force. Although it was shameful, Tom was her future guarantee after all. If Syaruo still counted on Tom's soft food in the future, she naturally couldn't treat him badly, so she began to speak for Tom. The battle at that time was very dangerous. Shang Xianlu was actually a pair of brothers and sisters. Both ghosts were Shang Xian. Besides me, Tom also killed a Shang Xian. According to the regulations of the ghost killing team, Tom is eligible to become a pillar of. Yubayashiki fell silent. According to the rules, Tom killed the upper string and could indeed become the pillar. It's just that a cat wants to be a pillar. He has never seen this kind of situation after being the lord for so many years. Before, Yubayashiki thought that Tom was Syaruo's helper, and they each had the same title as a man and a cat. Even Yubayashiki had thought of Syaruo's title, the swordsman with a cat was called Mizu, but he didn't expect Syaruo to want to separate from Tom and want two titles. My lord, I think the ghost killing squad is an open organization. Any ghost killing force is a part of our ghost slaughtering squad. We cannot discriminate against animals. Syaruo kindly persuaded. Meow. Tom nodded in agreement. Yubayashiki was silent for a while, and finally, he planned to agree to Syaruo's request. Since Tom has fulfilled the requirements of the ghost killing team and beheaded a Shang Xian, he is naturally qualified to become a pillar. Although he was not a member of the ghost killing team before, I made an exception and can give him the title of Zoo. This can be regarded as giving Syaruo a face. How can I say that Syaruo also helped the ghost killing team eradicate a Shang Xian, and Tom beheaded Shang Xian to make it a pillar? It is not a violation of the rules. Other pillars can also be explained. Yubayashiki himself is not a conservative person. He can tolerate and accept Nezuko, who is a ghost, and even in the decisive battle, he can join forces with Tsuna, who is a ghost, and use himself as a bait to attract Wumi. This proves that Yubayashiki can, in order to defeat Wumi, he can do anything, just give Tom a title, which is not unacceptable. Anyway, Tom has that strength. Thank you, my lord. Hope you and Tom keep up the good work. All of a sudden, there were two more pillars in the Demon Slayer squad, and Yubayashiki was also very happy. Afterwards, two major incidents occurred in the ghost killing squad, which spread throughout the ghost slaying squad. One thing is that after 113 years, someone in the ghost killing team finally killed a Shang Xian. The second thing is that the ghost killing team has two more new pillars. Xiaozu and Miaozu. Xiaozu is actually not very nice, but Syaruo really can't think of other good titles. He should be Shuizu, but now Yang has not abdicated, so he has to bear the title of Xiaozu. Of course, there is also a small episode. That is, Kawaminami, who returned from performing a mission outside, yelled and made a fuss after learning that there was a cat in the new pillar. His temper was a little irritable, and he thought the Lord was bewitched by someone. So Fengja rushed back to the ghost killing team alone, and found Miyazu aggressively, wanting to fight it one-on-one. Miyazu also agreed. The situation of one cat fighting against one person is not clear. I just heard from some team members that Fengzhu went out with a bruised nose and a swollen face, and later admitted to being Miaozu, and never said anything to look down on cats. In short, several stories were compiled and circulated in private. There is a cat in the Ghost Slayer squad, Chengzhu, who has also become a legend. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Zhi Miao. Chapter 180. After becoming Zhu, Xiaoruo received a letter from Mr. Lin Taki. The letter introduced that Mr. Lin long knew about Xiaoruo beheading Shangxian Ghost, and he was very proud of Xiaoruo. Then he explained Tanjiro's situation. Now Tanjiro has also passed the assessment of the Demon Slayer team and became a member of the Demon Slayer team. The letter also wrote that Nezuko has also woken up, and now with Tanjiro, it is estimated that it will not be long before I get the knife and go on a mission. In the letter, Mr. Lintaki seemed to be very relieved of Xiaoruo, and asked Xiaoruo to take care of Tanjiro and Nezuko in the ghost killing team. Although he didn't write it directly, Xiaoruo could still see the meaning. Among them, Mr. Lintaki is most concerned about the identity of Nezuko Oni. If the ghost killing team knows the identity of Nezuko, bad things may happen. In this regard, Xiaoruo wrote back to Mr. Lintaki, stating that if Nezuko's identity is exposed, she will protect Nezuko and Tanjiro, and will not disappoint Mr. Lintaki. It's been a while since I wrote the letter. During this period of time, Xiaoruo has been inside the Demon Slayer squad. Yosei Yabayashiki did not arrange for Xiaoruo to be stationed in the area, and left him in the Demon Slayer squad to handle some urgent tasks nearby. When he received some urgent tasks, he would send Xiaoruo to deal with them, and even Tom would send out some tasks if nothing happened. When Xiaoruo had free time, she also went back to the real world to report to her parents that she was safe. 4 times the time gap, 1 month in the world of Ghost Slayer, the reality is only a week, so it is not too long to be away from home. Just stay at home for a day. Xiaoruo returned to this world the next day. It may be that now is the period when the protagonist Tanjiro is growing up slowly, and nothing special happens, but the distance from the plot is getting closer and closer. And that day came suddenly. One day, the Lord suddenly called Xiaoruo and Dai Dai Ren together in front of him. In the hands of the Lord, there is a panting raven. It seems that the swordsmen on the Spider Mountain in that field have all been killed. Maybe there are 12 ghost moons there, so we can only send them to the front of the pillar. The Lord lowered his head. Although his tone was normal, Xiaoruo felt that the Lord is a little sad because of the sacrifice of the swordsmen. Xiaoruo, Shinobu, you go to support. Yes. Xiaoruo and Dai Ren answered at the same time. Xiaoruo knows that what she wants to go to is the plot of Nada Spider Mountain in the original work, and it is also the plot where Tanjiro comprehends Kagura, the god of fire. There is only one ghost on that mountain. For Zu, this task is not difficult at all, but this time the plot will also expose his identity, which is the point. It would be great if humans and ghosts could live in harmony, Xiaoruo, don't you think so? Butterfly said with a smile. This is unrealistic. As long as ghosts can eat people one day, it is impossible to live in harmony. Xiaoruo replied in a calm tone imitating righteousness. He knew that although Dai Dai endured the words of living in harmony, he actually wished that all the ghosts would die. Really? You looked so serious when you treated the Warren ghost last time. It's been a long time since this incident, and you still remember it? After saying a few meaningless words, Xiaoruo and Butterfly Shinobi went to Nation Spider Mountain together, and behind them were hidden members brought by Kanahu as logistics, but their speed was relatively slow. Xiaoruo and Butterfly Shinobi set off first to support. In fact, this time Yuyashiki asked Xiaoruo and Butterfly Shinobi to go together, mainly because the relationship between the two is good. At least, the relationship between Butterfly Ninja and Xiaoruo is much better than Butterfly Ninja and Yiyang. Yiyang is too cold, and when Xiaoruoxian is bored, she often goes to the butterfly house to play. The speed of the two of them was very fast, and they didn't stop at all along the way. In this way, after a few hours, the two finally arrived at Nation Spider Mountain. However, as soon as they arrived on the mountain, Xiaoruo saw many ghost killers in black uniforms. Corpses of team members. Those corpses were placed in the wilderness one by one. It seems that there are no survivors. Butterfly Ren glanced around. I also got the information just now. Some GUI-level team members rushed over nearby. Now they have entered the mountain, and they are probably all dead now. Not necessarily, Xiaoruo shook her head. Huh? Why? Do you know the team members who rushed over? Dai looked at Xiaoruo in confusion. Yes, I know them, they are all excellent people, Xiaoruo explained, and the protagonists trio led by Tanjiro came here to support them. Butterfly didn't expect Xiaoruo to say this. You call them excellent, so it seems that those children are really excellent, but 12 Ghost Moon is not something they can deal with now, so hurry up and save them. Well, let's go. After finishing speaking, Xiaoruo ran towards the center of the mountain together with Dai Ren, but the moon is very big and bright tonight. The moonlight is so beautiful tonight. Butterfly couldn't help but look at the moon in the sky and said, Huh? Xiaoruo glanced at Butterfly Ninja with a strange expression. Although the two were still on their way, the atmosphere around them suddenly became a little different. What's wrong? Butterfly asked in puzzlement, looking at Xiaoruo's eyes. Have you heard of Natsume Soseki? Xiaoruo asked Butterfly Ninja. Natsume Soseki is a modern Japanese writer, quite a famous person. The era he lived in was just before the Taisho period, and in this era, Natsume Soseki may have passed away. I've heard of it. Why do you ask this? Dai couldn't understand what Xiaoruo meant. Then have you heard the story about how beautiful the moonlight is? Xiaoruo asked Butterfly Ninja again. No, Butterfly shook his head. Butterfly Ninja has joined the ghost killing team since he was a child. Although the medicine is very rich, most of his energy is devoted to swordsmanship, poison, and ghost killing, so he doesn't seem to know much about the rest of the knowledge. At this time, he seems to have insufficient knowledge reserves. But when Xiaoruo suddenly mentioned it, Dai Ren was also a little curious. What kind of story is it? Xiaoruo smiled. When Natsume Soseki was teaching English, he translated a short essay for the students, and asked to translate I love you that the hero and heroine couldn't help but say when they were walking under the moon into Japanese. Having said that, Xiaoruo paused. How do you think it's turned? How? Butterfly asked dumbfoundedly. Natsume Soseki said that it should not be translated directly but implicitly. It is enough to translate it as today's moonlight is so beautiful, and it also has the implicit meaning of the moon I saw with you is the most beautiful. When Xiaoruo said this, she took a meaningful look at Butterfly Ninja. Afterwards, this story was spread, and the moonlight is so beautiful has also become a way of implicit confession in Japan. Are you confessing to me just now? Swish. Butterfly Ren's face turned red in a flash. She said just now that the moonlight is so beautiful. She didn't know the story at all, so she just said it casually. Unexpectedly, the moonlight is so beautiful and there is a metaphor for implicit confession. Is this a confession? Butterfly Ren suddenly felt his heart beat a little faster. You and I will split up, I'll go to that side. After finishing speaking, Butterfly Ninja turned around and ran to another place in a panic. Xiaoruo looked at Dainin's flustered figure and smiled softly. Are you shy?